Welcome to the instructional portion of the video. You can get tabs and backing tracks if you go to my website, www.erichaugenguitar.com. Let me briefly talk about the tools I'm using to make the sounds I'm making today. This is a 1966 Fender Mustang that I'm using, running into my board, using my Strymon Deco for crunch and a little bit of slapback. Then, also using my Strymon Flint for a little bit of reverb. On down the line, I'm using a Dusky D2O head into a tweed cabinet. That's a Mojo Tone clone that you see me use a lot. The speaker in that is a 15-inch Weber Alnico, and that is mic'd up with an SE Electronics X1R passive ribbon mic. That's what you're hearing. Now let's learn how to do this stuff. All right, the basic chord progression is going to be, I think it's just 3 chords. It's really just A7 to D minor, A7 to D minor, G minor. I'll show you. A7, D minor, A7, D minor, G minor, D minor. Here comes A7. That's what it is. It's what is that, an 8-bar loop. So it's ripe for messing with, and that's what I did. Okay, so instead of playing my A7 this way, you could. I minimalized the voicing into, what's that guy's name? Lloyd Green. Duke Ellington's guitar player. He had all these great simple voicings. I got 5 on the low E, skip the A, 5 on the D, 6 on the G. That's what I got there. Notice I'm alternating that bass. Behold the first diminished chord. Here's the rule. Let's listen. If I'm going to a D minor chord, so if I'm headed here, you can always, I feel like I want to get on camera so you can see, you can always stick a diminished chord a fret below where you're going. It always works. So that's why there's a C sharp diminished, which is 4 with the middle finger on, let's just say starting on A, 4, 5. Oh, what's that back there? A 3 and a 4. How do you remember this chord, you wonder? Here's how. Here's a C7, 3, 5, 3, 5. If I just magically had the ability to raise only that root, well, look at that. That's a diminished chord. That's that voicing. That's how I can remember that shape, because otherwise it's just too alien. That's the first little, I guess that's actually just the first bar. Now, I go to a D minor. I could have done this one, I could have done this one. I give credit where credit is due. My friend Juan Perez Marina thought of this voicing. So Juan, kudos to you. I love this grab. It's a bit of a stretch. 5, 3, 7. Again, it's sort of a Lloyd Green voicing. Again, alternating that bass. Now, I'm headed back to an A7, so guess what I do? This is fun to do. I stick a diminished chord 1 fret beneath. It's really goofy. So that diminished chord that's setting up that A is 4, skip the A string, 3, 4. That's the standard grab shape for this string grouping for the 6th string. Which again, you can do it because you're going to the chord. It's on the 4th beat, you're approaching the chord. And then it just gives me some more A7s. Another diminished to get back to the D minor, and this time, just for grins, I did just a straight D minor triad. 5 on the A, 3, 2. Alternate the bass, invert it. I know, I was just having fun with this, being silly, just trying stuff out, moving stuff around. That is 8 on the A, 7, 7. That's the first inversion D minor. Going to an A7 again. Methinks I will use a diminished. There it is. That's a G sharp diminished way up high because, well, there's an A right there that I'm gonna be playing around with. So you look into the future, and starting on A, that is 11, 12, 10. I don't bother with that highest note. Now instead of landing it here, I do that A, you know, that's an A, there's my C sharp, there's my E, that's an A triad. Alternate the bass, and I invert it. So that bar, move it up, that is 14, 12. Notice that's, you know, that's still an A7. Now that last one, I hit the low E, and then there's a G. That's, you know, it's still just that shape, that shape, that shape. It's the same shape. Now I accidentally, well, not accidentally, but accidentally on purpose end up on a 15 of that G, which is, what is that? That's a flat 9 interval. That is a B flat. You can get away with that in a minor key. And then my favorite part. I love how, what? Why? Okay, let's talk. So that's a D minor. There's an open D, and then 10 and 10 on the G and B, which is really just, I was thinking of that shape. Alternate the bass to hit an A. And that's, hey, look at that. That's just, you know, the 6 and the 7 out of the G and the B. This is my favorite one. I drop the inversion really low. 1 on the low E, that's an F. Open D, A. Oh, that's another D minor. So yeah, I got why is there a B flat 7? I'll discuss. 6, 6, 7, because that's the fourth beat. The song is going back around to start the progression again, so it's heading toward an A7. Instead of heading towards that A7 from below, I could have. There's the jazz rule or theory that, or you call this a sub 5. You can always come from a 7th chord 1 fret higher than where you're going also. So that's why you can get away with that sound. You hear that a lot. What's a big example? Oh, Radiohead, what's that? Jest. There's a C. From the Bends, what's it called? Jest. You do it to yourself? Yeah. Yeah, because it goes C, F sharp 7 to F. That's a good pop example of that trick. You're like, whoa. But anyway, so I'm doing it up there. Okay, brain rest. So take a minute to to play with that. Now, the second time through the loop, I started to get really squirrely and started to think, oh, let me use some 6s to kind of, and some scale tones to kind of play with it. So I hit my A, 2 and 2 on the D and the B. That's an A chord. That's just chromatic. A, G sharp A. It's harmonizing a scale in 6ths. 3 and 3, 5 and 5. Yeah, you notice I can hybrid pick it if I want to be fancy. Which you can bet Mark Ribot does. He does a good deal of finger picking and hybrid picking. He does it all. So that was my A. That was my A7 riff. There's my D minor riff. Open D. Well, it's just notes of a D minor, just hybrid picked. Scale run. 2, 3. 0 and 0. That was a pickup truck. Okay. So, we got, what do we got there? 0 and 0 on the G and the E. 3 and 3 on the D and the B. Now I love this descending series. 2 and 2. Now I'm on my D string. 5 and 3. 4 and 2, 1 and 0. And again, this requires, to do stuff like this requires being able to look at this and go, to find your D minor scale. Technically my D harmonic minor, so that's how I know that I can go. That's why those notes work out. It's not random. I'm like tracing out the scale 2 strings at a time. So yeah, that requires some sitting around and going, okay. I love this one. That one I changed the shape. I'm on 3 on the D, 0 on the A. And then snap to thirds. That's 10 and 10 on my G and B because we're at a D minor again. Now instead of running in 6s, I'm running in thirds. 10 and 10, 9 and 8, 7 and 6. The song drops to G minor. 3 and 3, there's a gap, so I'm on 3 on the G, 3 on the high E. Scale run. That's 3-0-1, that's a G minor run. 0 and 0, implying a G minor 6. Land on a D minor. 2 and 1, that's a gap, it's a 6th. Run that scale, 0-2-3. Gotta jump to a D minor up here. 10 and 10. There's my A7. That is, starting on the G string, 9, 8, 9. You can do this with this shape. You can move it up 3 frets. So yeah, 12, 11, 12. 15, 14, 15. D minor. Yeah, it's just him, an octave higher. And sometimes if I can, I'll get the inversion. 15, 16, 15, 17, 18, 17. Yeah, that's where I end up. Let's just let that process for a second. Well, I know there's a lot of stuff in there. Maybe I would recommend taking a couple of bars at a time and seeing what can soak in, because I know there's a lot of information. I kind of threw every trick I had in the book at that progression. Sure is fun though. Thanks for watching.